Zaslow, you're going to get some of the most glorious Greg Cote that you can get today because he's late.
Yeah, where is he?
And he's going to complain about traffic that everyone else also had but managed to get in here on time, even though we know the traffic is bad.
Yeah, here's the thing I don't understand with him. We've been through this before, and traffic's traffic. Like, it sucks, and I get it, but why doesn't he make sure that he never runs into this issue and leave, like, 20 minutes earlier than he normally does?
His son got in on time and comes also from Broward County.
Well, I was late, but yes, I was able. I leave early enough that even if I hit traffic,
too.
I still get here at least a little early.
Both of you are coming from Broward. Billy is coming from a zip code called Casa Carajo as well. I don't know who's coming from further. Who's coming in further? Because at least Chris can come turnpike and can take it straight down on the turnpike. Billy, who's got the longer drive, you or Chris?
Distance-wise or time-wise? Because here's the thing. On sunny days, I prefer a rainy day to a sunny day. Because sunny day where there's no clouds, I'm driving straight into the sun. So I'm driving due east, and the sun is right in everybody's face. Everybody drives slower. Everybody drives slower on a day that's not overcast because they're driving. If you're going on 836,
you think people drive slower on sunny days than on rainy days?
On the 836, absolutely, guys. You don't know. I'm telling you, it sounds ridiculous, but on the 836, on a sunny day that's not overcast, where the sun is out and the sun is just rising, you're staring straight into the sun, and everyone drives a lot slower than on a day that's like cloudy, not rainy, cloudy. Rainy days is a whole nother thing.
It's really nice out today. Traffic's going to suck.
That is absolutely the truth. You guys don't get it. That's the truth because, like, the path that I take, the 836, it's not like northeast, southeast. There's a little curve. It's due east, straight into the way the sun is rising. So you're looking directly into the sun, so everyone drives slow. Also, the airport, I don't understand. Everyone drives slower next to the airport, I guess, to look at the planes taking off or whatever, and they keep making the walls taller and taller so people can't see the planes and slow down, but people keep slowing down next to the airport for some reason.
Maybe to see if people are boating.
Don't
Sometimes
get me
you see those
started
people boating in that, like, next to
Boating.
the airport, like the lake across the highway from the airport.
By that, like, office park that they
Yeah.
have there? Yeah, people practice crew there.
That's what I mean. It looks like they're doing Olympic racing.
Yeah, have you seen crew? You know crew? Zaz?
You
Crew?
asking me if I know what crew is? Yeah, I know what crew is.
I don't know. Everybody doesn't know.
Yeah, I know what crew is.
Okay, I don't know.
I think that Billy sounds
Billy
like he might be
Wednesday.
saying something ridiculous, but if you know South Florida drivers, they might drive more recklessly in rain than they do in sun. It certainly feels that way.
No, they drive less recklessly in rain. When it's a rainy day, it's like, wow, this is like the safest that it's ever been.
Yeah,
Torrential
this is what he's
downpours.
trying to explain, which makes no sense.
I'm telling you, got it. Look, sleep over at my house the next time that we see it's going to be a sunny day, and just ride in with me so you can go straight east into the sun.
I'm not sleeping at your
Do
house.
we know where
Why?
Jeremy slept last night?
We know, but
Oh, boy.
is he going to tell us? Very little sleeping involved.
Football is back, Jack. Oh my, we've waited for so long. We're so damn excited that we put it in a song. Don't need no check downs. Give me big hits and quarterbacks. Keep your fantasy team from falling off the track. Football is back, Jack. Whether on the ground or through the air. When the chips are down and you throw a prayer. When your team is primed and on the hunt. It's 4th and 10, you refuse to punt. When the shoulder pads and helmets crack, that's how you know that football is back, Jack. Let me hear you say football is back, Jack. This high is wild and out of control. And we're gonna ride it every week till we reach the Super Bowl. Don't need no check downs. Give me big hits and quarterbacks. If you say this game's the best, I'll say it's a gag. Football is back, Jack. Football is back, Jack. Football is back. Football is back.
The daily chaos that we have around here is amusing in its sloppiness. Please put on the picture-in-picture, Lewis, at some point, the entrance here so we can watch a haggard, crazed Greg Cote run in late and then put all his stuff together noisily when he gets here because he's, again, not on time while everyone else got here on time. But I just want to show you guys. Just before we started here, Ethan ran in here with great urgency and handed me some show preparation. I want to show this to you guys, what the show preparation is, because he came in here and he handed me this piece of paper, and it's got nothing on it. Like, it's got literally no writing on it, nothing. It's a blank sheet of paper.
A lot of room for thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, he came here with great urgency and handed me a piece of paper. Like, I think this is something that
I
happens
see something on there.
in production. Yeah, I don't
Zaz,
see.
you see something on there?
Maybe a blacklight situation.
There could be something there.
Yeah.
I see nothing on this piece of paper that he handed me. He came in here with great purpose. Making
He seems to be
himself-
walking back to the printer. Maybe he grabbed the wrong sheet.
I don't know what he was trying to give me with urgency, but I can't tell anybody
That's
what
what he's
it
done
is.
the last 6 months.
It's not the first time that has happened. And then he complains that I'm not using what he gives me. And I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with what it is you've given me. I don't know when Greg will be here. We've got bad traffic. But Mike Ryan has given this UM-FSU game one of the highest honors he can give. For the Notre Dame-Miami game, he did a 5-hour live stream as part of his new ownership situation away from here, where he is a co-owner, not a co-founder. You're not a founder because it was founded before you got there, Mike. But you're doing a 2.5-hour live stream today to preview the UM-FSU game.
Fall Brawl, Dano. Yeah, live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, youtube.com/official Canes Insight. Peter Rees, D-Money, and myself will be previewing the big game. Thank you for finally mentioning one of the best rivalries in college football this week. I appreciate it.
Well, I do want to talk about it, and one of the things I want to talk about is that ESPN did advertising for this game and calls it a rivalry of history and hate. And I don't think it's hate. Like, I think it's history. They've got a lot of history, but I think that Bobby Bowden lost so much and was so lovable in losing that Miami doesn't hate FSU, and I'm not sure FSU hates Miami, though they might have reasons to, but Miami's not FSU's biggest rival, is it?
No, Miami's in an interesting place. I'll readily admit. Miami's biggest rivals, whether it be Florida, Florida State, Notre Dame, they all have bigger rivals, so Miami's, always...
I think FSU's third on that list that you just mentioned.
Always like a weird outlier as a private institution. But no, we dislike each other, no doubt. As someone that travels to this game routinely, like FSU fans don't like Miami, Miami fans don't like FSU. But you're right, this rivalry, because of Bobby Bowden's approach really to it and how complimentary
and because they lost all the time.
How complimentary he has been to Miami Hurricanes teams when they would beat him, more built on mutual respect. And keep in mind, FSU didn't have to routinely play Miami, and they kept Miami on the schedule. That's part of why there's more animosity towards Florida, because Florida decided they didn't want the smoke anymore.
I feel like that's an indictment on Miami not being anyone's biggest rival.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying, like, I don't know who to blame here. I want to blame somebody. But
Yeah.
they got to be someone's biggest rival. Like North Carolina, they have NC State.
I hear you. I don't know. FAU is FIU's biggest rival, right?
Yeah.
But FIU
Shula Bowl.
probably puts Miami
It's
on
a
a
good
pedestal.
point. If you say UF's got maybe 4 other teams ahead of Miami. You say FSU, Florida's definitely ahead of Miami. And if you say Notre Dame,
they got USC, they got Michigan. Yeah, it's kind of strange, but I mean, Miami's a strange program.
Tell the people where they specifically can find you and at what time if they want maximum UM-FSU coverage, because it's not just you're doing live streams gas bagging. You're grabbing a bunch of guests and you're doing an intensely focused one-subject show for 2.5 hours, and that's not something we really do around here. So if they want that, where can they get it?
Well, you can follow us on our socials at Canes Insight. You can watch the live stream there on X, but you can also subscribe to our YouTube page. We'll be live at 2 p.m. Eastern Eastern. That is youtube.com/official Canes Insight. I appreciate that, Dan.
I think it's false advertising to say that it's a rivalry of history and hate because if you were going to hate FSU players, Deion Sanders would be one that you would hate, but the memory that Miami has is Cleveland Gary running over him at the goal line in the first game of the season, winning 31-0. They'd have to beat you once in a while in ways that really hurt to make it something that has hate or lack class while losing, which isn't something they do either.
No, not really. Again, you're right. It's a little bit based more on mutual respect. It's also a weird rivalry in that the better team wins it, like almost all the time. There is only one time in the history of this rivalry that there was a big-time upset where one team was clearly worse than the other one, and that came in the 1970s. Very strange rivalry. You won't see results like Michigan-Ohio State happen last year. It's weird. Better team usually wins this one.
When I was going to the University of Miami, Florida was their biggest rival. I don't know who Notre Dame would call their biggest rival, but for a time it was Miami because of the intensity of those things and because of the way Bobby Bowden always carried himself with grace. He was on so much with us after losing that he made it impossible to hate FSU, even as Steve Spurrier was calling it in Equator Time Free Shoes University because they were cheating by giving their players shoes, allegedly. But that is not a program that I think of as having something that Miami has biled toward. And when I ask you, the most memorable time that FSU has beaten Miami, what does that look like? Because the season that we were talking about earlier this week, the 1984 season where the Hurricanes won their first championship, they lost the first game of that season 28-3 to Florida. And Florida was absolutely a school that there was hatred. Mike's saying there's hatred between the fan bases here. He's been in the stadium. He's leaving sad, painted orange and green. And Florida State did represent it one time. A low point in Miami history because of how they beat Miami when it was on probation 57-0, but they also represented
47-0?
Whatever it was.
It was bad.
They also represented, though, Miami's return to greatness when Ken Dorsey and Jeremy Shockey announced like a year or two after that, oh, no, they've closed that gap with Butch Davis and FSU.
That's my favorite game in the history of this rivalry. This is, I'm about to turn 40, but I think like the most painful stretch, because Miami has no doubt gotten the better of FSU in this rivalry, at least in my lifetime.
Right. When is there an instance that Miami had everything on the line and FSU ruined it? Like, is there that instance?
Probably the early 90s. I'll go back and check.
But it was Miami winning those games.
Strangely enough, the most painful stretch of Miami results where the most heartbreaking results happened was kind of like when Jameis Winston was there. Where
Block
Miami,
at the Rock, right?
Yeah, where Miami had inferior teams and had decent-sized leads.
And FSU, Jameis was still on that run where they were unbeaten, right?
Mm-hmm. And there was another strange one. I think it was the largest top 10 spread in the history of the sport at the time. Miami was number 7 in 2013. This was a Stephen Morris, Stacey Coley team. And they played FSU, and the spread was 21.5, and FSU just totally smashed Miami 41-14. Strange rivalry.
Dad, you good? Can we get you anything?
I'm a little winded.
So some air.
Yeah, give me some air. You know, it's crazy. I apologize being late. It's the government shutdown. I come out of I start driving here.
Democrat shutdown.
All the highways, all the roads are closed. I jogged 30 miles to get here. You know, brothers and sisters, strap on the tortoise shell and get in the basement, check the sardine supply, because there's going to be a total eclipse today.
That was a sentence.
Nothing was happening. Nothing. There was the roads were dead. I had to run here. I don't know about how'd you all get here?
You make no sense.
It was wild.
This is rambling and incoherent.
Why am I in the basement?
You have to. The government shut down. The roads are closed.
Tell me about it.
Put on the tortoise shell.
Look at the eclipses coming.
There it
What?
is.
It's crazy.
Greg, gather
Shield
yourself,
your eyes.
please. Just gather yourself, okay?
Yeah.
If you're going to get here late, okay, do me the favor of making sense when you arrive,
I'll tell you
please.
what, like I said, I'm winded, but you're entirely right. The Gators were always the big rival down here. I mean, that was the original rival.
Back on track.
I think FSU started, for me, in the early 90s, Bowden, all the wide rights. There was some great. I think there's a stat where FSU and Miami once had like 5 or 6 meetings in a row where both were in the top 5. I mean, it was an elite rivalry.
Well, Miami had a run, but the Bobby Bowden run of, I think, 20 straight years or something absurd, finishing in the top 5. I think
So good.
It was, but without winning only once, though. Like it was some absurd stretch of legitimately 2 decades finishing a season in the top 5. They've never been able to get back to that, even though Jameis Winston, I maintain, is the best freshman quarterback I've ever seen in college football.
The history of this rivalry is interesting, but I am kind of pumped up about this year's incarnation of the rivalry because of that Alabama result that makes this game really, really confusing. Was that game more about FSU? I kind of fall on.
I think it's more about Alabama.
That game was more about Alabama. Like, to the eye as it was happening, Alabama looked unprepared, and that even to like the layman, that's hard to do when you're watching a game live from broadcast TV angles. But this line has already done some funky stuff. It opened at 4.5. Inflated all the way to 6.5, back down to 4.5. This is Miami's first road game of the season. Doak was electric against Alabama. It's tough to win in the ACC. Miami's going to have to get over that hurdle.
A couple of things that I want to say. I do not trust the University of Miami yet on the road, even though I believe they have great physical advantages in this game. I believe they are physically, just from, obviously it's an optics test, it's an eye test, but I believe that they have a good deal more size than FSU. This is, as Mike mentioned, first road game of the year for Miami. Miami's 15-2 at Hard Rock Stadium since the start of 2023. They're 6-7 away from home, although I believe this is the best and the most balanced of the teams that they've had during that stretch. 6-7 away from home is hard, and you just saw what happened to FSU when it went to Virginia because road games are very difficult. These are still kids. They're kids learning how to play football, and road games are hard. I think Miami's going to have a problem with Robinson, FSU's 6'6" receiver, who did in the last game something I've never seen in football before. Lost the game. And the way that he lost the game is they were going to tie it after Virginia went up 8 with the 2-point conversion. Robinson gets a perfectly thrown pass to him at the goal line. Perfectly thrown, right in his hands. Bobbles it for a full 10 yards. Looks like a catch. Ruled a catch on the field. They go to replay. Not a catch. He bobbled it for 10 yards, and if he had been 6'3" instead of 6'6", that would have been the ability to tie that game. Because he's 6'6", he bobbled it for a full 10 yards, and his strides are longer than most. He's a very good receiver.
Yeah,
Mike.
I think Deuce Robinson and Darrell Jackson, who was with Miami before, are probably two of the players that you look at that FSU roster and say, maybe you're a little too. These are guys that can play for Miami right now. Miami has a little bit more talent. That was a hell of a throw by Castellanos. He doesn't do the yacht.
Is that Castellanos?
No, he goes Castellanos, even though he's
I
Cuban.
don't think he gets
That's a
to do
fake
that.
out?
I don't think he gets to do that.
Really?
No, it's Castellanos.
That's Castellanos.
Yeah,
Wait a
he
minute.
goes Castellanos, but he's been more
saying it wrong.
consistent throwing the football. I am curious to see. Gus Malzahn and FSU like to run outside, and they've done so very effectively. They're one of the best rushing teams in the nation. When Florida climbed back into that game in that third quarter against Miami, they found success running to the outside. When Alabama played Florida State, they had a nose tackle trying to set the edge. That's not the way you go about this. Miami is fast. Miami has the stuff that travels. Defense and a running game. This is going to be Miami's toughest test in terms of an offense that they're going up against. I'm really curious to see it. You mentioned Deuce Robinson, though. I'd counter that with saying most people don't know Xavier Lucas plays on this team right now because the broadcast never features him because he erases the side of the field that he is defending the opposing wide receiver on. Notre Dame's got good wide receivers. You wouldn't know it from watching that game because Xavier Lucas, the transfer from Wisconsin that Wisconsin's suing Miami over, has been dynamite.
I think Carson Beck still does have some things to prove, okay? The Gator defense is exceptional, but he went 0 for 7 with an interception on passes longer than 10 yards against him, okay? 9 of his 17 passes were behind the line of scrimmage. So he has something to prove. But Miami, even though FSU lost to Virginia, Miami will show me something defensively if what I've seen so far bears out and is true. If on the road they can shut down Robinson and have the speed side to side that made those championship Miami teams great, where you can't get to the outside on them because their defensive linemen are too fast, specifically Ruben Bain, who I believe is a top 5 pick. If he is healthy, I believe that Ruben Bain is an unblockable menace, that his size, his stature, and his low to the ground make it so that is absolutely a pro prospect. The best one I have seen on the defensive edge from them since Calais Campbell, where you see it right away on the field. I've seen it up the middle from them for a ton, right? Russell Maryland, Warren Sapp, you had Jimmy Jones. You had a bunch of guys, Cortez Kennedy, up the middle. But on the edges, Miami hasn't had a lot of those. Like, they've had like a Rusty Medeiros who doesn't translate to the pros, a Bill Hawkins who gets first round but doesn't translate to the pros. Ruben Bain translates to the pros. If that guy stays healthy, that guy will be doing that for 10 years on every level you see him on. He's not a blockable person.
He's weird. He's like Aaron Donald in that people are impressed by his body, even though he's very undersized for the position in terms of prototypes, guys on the edge that get drafted high. He's only like really 6'2". But his body sticks out still because he is so stout. His arms are like thighs. He's got such power and speed.
A little bit of a bummer that game day's not that, like, they made a U-turn and they're not doing, like, the Canes 2 games in a row. They would have had game day on site.
Two games in 3 weeks.
FSU screwed
the
that up.
FSU conspiracy theory is that Kirk Herbstreit's afraid to go to Tallahassee, even though he's on the call.
What did he say about them 2 years ago?
He kept the belief among FSU fans is that Kirk Herbstreit was really the chief propagandist working for ESPN.
Of them missing the playoff?
To keep them out of the CFP. Again, he's on the game broadcast. College Game Day, 100% can confirm, happen to know. They were 100% going to Tallahassee.
I happen to know that too.
Happen to know? Wait a minute. Happen to know?
Yeah.
There's a happen to know situation?
But 2 of us.
Oh my God, he knows. He happens to know. Come, everyone. Come and listen. Happens to know. He happens to know. Well informed.
100% they were going to go to Tallahassee,
Yep.
had FSU taking care of business against a spooky Virginia team. Instead, they're going to go to Tuscaloosa, which kind of deserves it because College Game Day tries to tell the best story. Keep in mind, Vanderbilt upset Alabama.
Yep.
Diego Pavia's got a Heisman campaign
And
right now.
last year, the Vanderbilt game came immediately following the Alabama win over Georgia, and it's the same, order of events this year.
Agree.
It's a good story.
It's a good
agree.
call by game day.
It's the best story to tell, and the main broadcast team is going to be in Tallahassee anyways. But Pavia and Vanderbilt is smoking teams. It's a 10.5 point spread. Vengeance on their mind. They try to tell the best stories.
You know about that, Diego Pavia?
I do. He is Jessica's September Heisman frontrunner.
What is the conspiracy? They blew the game. Like they had it in control. Lee Corso is going to be honored at the game. We're going to have a little possible Lee Corso College Game Day reunion. Like 5 minutes after we just saw him, like the guy that graduates high school and then is back a year later.
Wow, so you're anti-Lee Corso, huh?
I'm not anti-Lee Corso.
Sounds like
I'm
it.
just saying FSU ruined this moment.
Sounds like it's me.
They blew it. It was right there for them. It was there for the taking. They were going to have College Game Day come. Lee Corso is going to be there, and they blew it.
No, they
beat Virginia.
They did blow it, but you don't pivot away from Miami FSU just because they lost a tough game at Virginia.
Yet you do.
Such
They
a
did.
homer.
Yeah,
No.
why?
They
No.
did.
Listen,
They just had Miami 2 weeks
They
ago.
literally pivoted.
the play, but you don't. You shouldn't.
But they did.
Okay, I know, but you shouldn't. It was a bad mistake by ESPN.
The
First
government-
you said you don't.
Yeah.
At Tallahassee is the perfect way to honor Lee Corso. Okay, he's associated with FSU. He was
They've
born,
kinda honored
he was
him a
born
lot.
in Miami.
kind of nailed it.
You say the association. I saw, this bothered me. I saw at the Notre Dame-Arkansas game that Lou Holtz was wearing Arkansas gear, and it looked weird to me. He was an honorary captain. He flipped the coin out there. He did coach there for a while before he went to Notre Dame, but it looked wrong to me to have him in Arkansas gear. I'd like to interview you about your politics, Lou. You surprised me.
Walking around the orange sea with a crown royal. I mean, that's somebody else's bit. No. So.
Does he have like an impediment that we're making fun of?
It's a lisp.
Oh, you know what? He's fair game.
I was asking. I don't know.
I'm curious, actually.
We voted for this to be fair game.
I had a bad reaction. I was ashamed of myself the other day. I'm going to debut a segment here at some point today, shameful admission I'm going to make from yesterday's baseball games. But I have another shameful admission that's just I didn't know it was in me, and I was surprised to learn that it was in me. I'm sitting in an airplane, and the pilot starts talking.
What class were you sitting in?
You're in an airplane yesterday?
No.
It's a quick flight somewhere and back?
Not yesterday.
Jeremy?
I was just in an airplane. This
Private
is not
jet was in the shop.
Pilot in the G6 just turned to you instead of going over a PA.
Sometimes he's bored. He's like, I just want to fly. They take him off in his PJ, fly him around a little bit, back to Tamiami Airport.
This is not a story from yesterday, but I did learn something while in flight about myself, and I didn't like what I saw in the mirror, which the pilot started speaking, and he had a lisp, and I felt less safe. I trusted him less. And it seemed like that was that doesn't seem fair in any way. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Do you feel less safe on a flight if the pilot is speaking with a lisp? Yes or no?
No, Dusty Rhodes found a way to be intimidating with the lisp.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want him flying my plane, though. I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
The son of a plumber?
I would not trust Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, in flight if he started talking in the air about the Omni in Atlanta.
What other uncontrollable traits would a pilot have that you would discriminate against immediately?
Blindness would be one for me.
Yeah, eyesight. It's up there.
Would you rather have a blind pilot or a deaf pilot?
Deaf.
Deaf, yeah.
How? You can't talk to the air traffic control.
But someone could
Someone
next
else
to you
could.
and
Right.
sign to you what to do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can also have, a co-pilot that could see.
I know
I'd
it's-
rather be able to control, be in communication with the tower.
So you'd rather have him be blind and have the person next to him be like, all right, a little lower.
I know it's a Wednesday, but this one seems pretty cut
Are
and
you a
dry.
serious person today?
I think that the planes do a lot of the work, if we're going to be honest. I don't think eyesight
Not a
is
cruise ship.
first and foremost thing that you need to fly a plane. I would think communicating is a lot more difficult.
You're
with
making the
towers.
case that there's something other than sight that is most important for a pilot.
If I had to choose one or the look, this is in a world where having a lisp disqualifies you for being a pilot. I'm just going to start with that.
I didn't disqualify the pilot. I said I was ashamed of my lack of trust in the pilot. I thought it was unfair of me. I'm making a shameful admission.
And I'm saying that I would implicitly trust a blind pilot, and somehow I'm the bad guy here.
So
the one
if
that's
we're-
not discriminating based on, things that people have.
So if we're keeping score at home,
Yeah.
you're okay with the blind pilot
Yeah.
flying a plane and a lot easier driving in the rain here in South Florida.
No, you're misrepresenting that. I told you at a certain time, driving due east into the sunrise, the driving is a lot worse than if you drive in rain.
Yeah, it's
Thank you,
blinding.
Greg. And we didn't
Blinding.
even get to the government shutdown thing because I didn't want to bring politics into it, but Greg opened the door, so.
Thank you for not bringing politics into it. I saw a really wonderful movie last night that gets a low
On the plane?
rating. No, not on the plane. I was not flying yesterday. It was a really good, artful movie, and it surprised me a number of different ways. Ari Aster is a great director, and he makes horror and doesn't want to totally be making horror, but he makes dark comedy horror, and Eddington is the name of the movie, and it got a low rating, I think, only because politics will end up being something that knocks 30 points off of any movie's ratings immediately, no matter what the politics of the movie are. So
Bad name for a movie.
it's Joaquin Phoenix, it's Pedro Pascal, and it's Emma Stone in it. And I will say
Hasn't
that
done a movie in a while, Pedro Pascal.
Ozzy Odzer makes movies? Ari Odzer?
Not the NBC guy.
He's good. I've seen him act.
He loves
You've
Greg
seen him
Cote.
act?
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's really good. Ari Aster. Yeah, he does commercials for like geriatrics. and
That's
stuff
the guy
like that.
keeping my dad in the local news scene.
Even though he's younger than me, Ari.
Are they is that a
Aaron.
destination? Like when you're like a local person, like let me get to the geriatric
Oh,
commercials?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Or are like you sad when you get there like, oh, oof.
Like
hey,
Lori
it's,
Jennings?
it's easy money.
Yep.
It's easy money. Nobody talks to me about it, but I'd do it in a heartbeat.
What did Lori Jennings do? Leon Medical Centers?
Did she?
Yeah.
Yep. Billboards and everything.
the movie Eddington is a slow burn. I don't know why. I have no problem whatsoever burning through 8 episodes of Black Rabbit, which cost me 8 hours. But if you tell me sit in front of a television for a 2.5-hour movie, I'm like, don't know if I want to do that. It's 2.5 hours. And the first 2 hours are a slow burn, but it escalates. The last half hour is totally crazy. It's an insane half hour at the end of that movie that I would recommend to anyone listening to this.
It's becoming Ari Aster's signature.
Tell us more about your friendship with what Chris Cote says is the media member keeping you alive. Ron McGill does this very well. Places a few media friendships to keep his career alive at the end. And Greg Cote speaks well of Ari Aster.
If Ari Aster needs a sports story covered, Greg Cote's his man.
Ari Aster's great. He's a legend in this market. Nobody does it like him. He's the best.
I saw that Channel 7 is still running out DePasquale and Drew Rosenhaus.
Yep.
And who else? There's somebody else on that.
Josh Moser. He's the other guy.
No, the black guy.
Whoa.
I'm sorry.
Donovan Campbell?
Thank you.
He's
I
got
had
a
to help
name.
you.
He could fly a plane, Dan.
I couldn't place his name.
Does he have a list?
The black guy.
Manila.
I couldn't place his name. That was the problem that I had. And when I gave you the black guy, you gave me his name as opposed to Zaslow, who didn't give me the right guy. He gave me the guy who was distinctly not black. So when I gave you the descriptive adjective, you helped me find the name that I was looking for. Local news, local sports news. I was surprised to see Drew Rosenhaus saying that. I wonder if this Sunday he'll be saying that Tyreek Hill is totally fine. He said the surgery was fine yesterday. I don't understand the contract, Greg. It's a muddled contract with Tyreek Hill, and he's not guaranteed the $36 million. And that is why I would tell you those football contracts are super bogus. And if you've read about Tyreek Hill's life off the field, you know that he has a great many payments to a great many women that he has to make because of how irresponsible he is off of the field. And him not being able to get that $36 million, that is a truly catastrophic injury when you don't guarantee that money. Have you read anything about the contract details? Because it's a weird, confusing, muddied contract for Tyreek Hill to extend with Miami, to be at the height of his value, to find real superstardom in Miami and leaving Kansas City and have none of that money guaranteed next year. So when that happens to him, it's not merely a catastrophic injury for him. It's not merely a catastrophic injury for the Dolphins and all their architecture. It's a catastrophic financial injury because there is no way that Tyreek Hill coming off his leg looking that way is going to get good money after that.
No, I mean, contracts are reworked all the time, and I think this one will be. I think they want to keep him. It was encouraging that Drew Rosenhaus said flatly that he will play in 2026.
That doesn't mean anything.
What do you expect him to say?
It doesn't mean anything.
I think it
He's
means,
toast.
I think he
it
might
means
play by
something.
the end of this season after hearing Drew talk, to be honest with you.
I think it does mean something. I don't think you put that kind of pressure on your athlete unless you know that the surgery went well, that there was only one surgery needed, there's no nerve damage. There were encouraging signs. But Tyreek Hill has to read the market right now. He's going to be 32 next year coming off this injury. He's going to lose a step. I don't think there's
Why would you believe the agent on this? Why would you believe that agent on this? What else is he going to say?
He's going to vague it up. He's going to say the surgery went successful. The plan is that we're going to play next season.
Greg,
we don't know if he'll be ready for training camp.
Greg,
but
you saw his leg. You saw his leg.
I know.
How can you make any sort of assessment about where he'll be in 6 months or a year when his leg, it doesn't look like a human leg?
Okay, I can't, and neither can you.
No, but I can doubt it. You can't tell me that you're going to take Drew Rosenhaus's word for it.
Okay, I can doubt it too. That's why yesterday I said that I thought there was a chance his career might be over, and I still think there's a chance of that. And I don't trust an agent. I know Drew a little bit, but I don't trust him because I don't trust agents. But you can vague it up as well, and he was pretty clear about that. And
The words don't mean anything. Today,
Okay.
nobody's going to remember. Like, that's what he's got to do and say for his client, and that's all he's doing it
Okay,
for.
Drew Rosenhaus has done something that you and I haven't. He has actually spoken to the doctors. He has gotten firsthand information on what the medical prognosis is. and he's relaying that. Now, you can choose to not believe that.
It's not a credible source. It's just not a credible source.
The doctor's not.
No, the agent's not. He's biased. I don't even trust the words to get from the doctor to the agent and be the same.
Okay.
The agent is totally biased. He's not credible.
Did the doctor have a lisp?
That's a great
probably
question.
What are the contract details that are muddied here that make this?
So his contract's kind of weird. First of all, he's owed $36 million next year. None of it is guaranteed. Doesn't even matter injury-wise. So I'm not so sure, especially coming off of the events of Tyreek Hill at the end of last year, and this year, what is clearly not going to be a good season, even if Tyreek Hill didn't get hurt. I don't know that the Dolphins were keeping him next year anyway, all right? But the $36 million is fully non-guaranteed, doesn't even matter about injury. So you would assume that they are going to cut him. But here's where it gets kind of weird. He's owed throughout this year $1.8 million in per-game roster bonuses. So if the Dolphins, and he's got, what are we talking, 13 more of those payments coming his way if he were active, all right? If the Dolphins cut him at the end of the season, he doesn't get any of that money because, hey, you weren't active. You didn't play in those final 13 games. If the Dolphins actually cut him right now, he will get that money, $1.5 million that's left of it. They will save a little bit of money, the Dolphins. Obviously a dirty move if you cut him right now, but they won't have to owe him. They would then be paying him the rest of the season. It'll be like doing him a solid, essentially, if they cut him now. So it's a little bit weird, his contract. But I would go back to what Greg just said, where, Drew Rosenhaus can say that he's going to be ready now for next season because he doesn't need the additional surgery. If he needed the additional surgeries, Drew can't come out and say we expect him to be ready for next season. But because he doesn't, Drew says that because when the Dolphins cut him, it's out there so that another team isn't like, oh, but Drew said that he's going to be okay. He's going to be ready. So, Drew's likely, he doesn't know. I'm not going to say he's full of shit because maybe he will be ready, maybe he won't be ready. But because he doesn't need the extra surgery, Drew can come out and portray it as if his client is going to be ready.
He's biased, he's compromised, and he's incentivized.
Yeah.
For his own business. It's not even his client. He's incentivized to say he's going to be fine to the league.
Forget playing for the Dolphins, forget playing for other NFL teams. Is he going to make it to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia by the end of March for Tom Brady's Fanatics flag football competition?
How much is he making for that?
They have not announced what they're making, but all the announced players that were as a part of this press release did receive front-end permission from their NFL teams. Now, that can change, especially if the Dolphins intend to keep Tyreek Hill. They can say there's no way that you're going to do this. I guess medically, there might be no way he can make a March flag football tournament anyways.
He'll be.
But it's a big payday.
I'm going to report exclusively. I feel like he's going to be there.
Can you guys find out for me if Tom Brady is indeed getting the number that people are saying, which is $75 million to participate in that? I don't know what the reporting is on that. I've just heard people say that number again and again, and I find it really hard to believe, even with the way the Saudis are spilling blood money in order to launder that money through sports.
I know Dave Portnoy went out and said that that's how much he was making, and Brady retweeted it saying that was not true.
Come on.
I know this is going to sound stupid when I say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't understand how the Saudis have all this money.
It's just oil. It's
just, but they have like an endless amount of
because they've got so much oil.
Right. How does Jerry Jones have all that money?
No, but Jerry Jones, like there is a limit. Like Jerry Jones, there is a limit, all right? The Saudis, it's the golf and it's the flag football and it's the WWE and they just have money for everything.
We all need oil. We don't have The reason that Elon Musk is so rich is because he's providing an alternative, possibly in the future, to us not needing that amount of oil.
What are you laughing at there, Chuckles?
You don't understand how the Saudis have that much money?
It's an endless amount of money. I don't understand.
They literally have the most oil. They export the most oil.
The oil keeps coming.
And in this country, we've signed executive orders to kind of limit ulterior forms of electricity, such as wind, solar. The EV credits are gone. We declared a national oil emergency in this country.
So they get to just do and have whatever they want.
That's correct.
You just learn about money?
There's no limit.
Not whatever they want. They offered an amount to Tiger Woods to join Live Golf that dwarfs what they offered Tom Brady, and Tiger Woods said no. So they don't always get what they want, but they usually do. That's
Everyone
for
but
damn
Tiger.
sure. Yeah.
No, Shane Gillis too. Shane Gillis refused their money. He was one of the comedians.
What'd you
who
think about that
refused
one,
their
Dan?
money.
You're in a real classic pickle here. A patented
My
pickle
movie theater
here.
sells pickles, dog.
Yeah, how much?
$2.99.
That's
Yeah.
a good deal.
It's a lot of money for a pickle.
So truth
That's an
teller
outrage.
and beacon of whatever, philosopher, modern day guy that Dan loves, Bill Burr, took the money. And Shane Gillis, who you've described as one of Joe Rogan's cronies, said, no, not for me, dog.
Well, you guys said earlier this week that we were a little hard on Phil Mickelson, and I don't think we were a little hard on Phil Mickelson. I think he opened the door for everyone else to be greedy and cowardly about this as well. And some people will stand up for their principles, and most people will just grab at the money because
Plus, Shane Gillis has got a little progressive in him.
they bone sawed a journalist. Okay, like that's, and I understand that there are all sorts of human rights violations that America is also responsible for. But that's not money. That's blood money.
So the Saudis never check their bank account. It's just nonstop money.
With Kevin Hart.
I'm very excited about doing this because this is a human being I'm very curious about. His insatiability, his conquering, his ability to be, I think I can say this, if not the most successful comedian in America, the most popular comedian in America. Usually stadiums don't get sold out. Kevin Hart, thank you for being here. I am really interested in finding out how you're built. Your friend Neil Brennan tells me, ask him about his past and you will understand why he can't stop working and why he will never stop working.
That's very true. Neil is a really good friend of mine. Great guy, too. I like Neil all around in general. He's just a good definition of a person. But yeah, man, I'm on your platform, so I'm a firm believer in allowing people to be great, and you are good at what you do. So in this interview, be you. But if we can go as in depth as you want, what questions you have, you'll get great answers and great feedback. I'm here for the greater of good.
Okay, well, I'm happy to have you. So let's start, though, with your conquering. It seems like you are hell-bent on proving something with employees and worth and building and creativity. You want to be what? Like, it seems like you've arrived at what would be a destination for any comic.
I think that it's I can simplify it, right? I can simplify it. I think what some people tend to make extremely complex and difficult, I do a good job of making those things easy, right? For me, I look at it from a perspective of we all have an option in our life to do as much as we possibly can, right? And you can take that option and max it out, or you can do the minimum, or you can, do, I guess, what can be deemed to be the mid-level of whatever, right? But there's things that are put around us that do nothing but give us the opportunity to succeed and grow. And it's how you use those tools around you to basically be a version of your best benefit. And my tools that I've been able to form and put myself around are people, right? I've been around some really great people that have achieved a lot of amazing things in their lives and their careers. And in doing that, it's motivating, it's inspiring.
But have you met many like you? The Rock you guys seem to have like a common space where you both understand, yeah, we want everything. We want everything. You've met a lot of people like that?
I've met a lot of people like that. I'm an entrepreneur, right? So an entrepreneur, businessman, a mogul, whatever you want to define it as, there's people that have multiple layers. There's people that want to do a lot of things. There's people that do a lot of things. There's a lot of companies that have been developed to basically now act in a space because of their now ecosystem. They're able to do so much, right? Like the bandwidth of one thing is no longer just the one. It's, look at Amazon, look at Disney, look at these companies that have a multi-layered system, right? It's an amusement park, but then we do animation, and the animation is went into television, and now we are going out of this into experience, and experience, it's also an activation of experiential. Well, that's somebody that keeps compounding on one idea, right? Amazon was once one thing, well, now is Amazon Prime, Amazon Fresh Markets.
You are many things. You are tequilas, you are
Everything.
interview shows, you are documentaries.
Everything, but it comes from looking and being inspired by the people that are doing it at the highest level. So I'm trying my best to create an ecosystem. So Kevin Hart is not just the talent anymore. That's one layer, right? The talent got me in the door to be an investor. The investments got me in a place to build.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is here, start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is here, start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is here, start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is here, start of the day.
The Ravens' point total this season is the most through 4 games of a season by any team with this many losses in NFL history. Of the 47 teams in NFL history to score this many points through this many games in the season, the points allowed for Baltimore are the most in NFL history.
I see the smile on Nick Wright's face. He is so tired of the rush to defend Lamar Jackson, protect Lamar Jackson. I can see that he is fed up. But give that stat again so that everyone understands how unprecedented what's happening with that Ravens defense is.
So this was I had to tweak this stat a little bit because that was before they surrendered the point total that they did to Kansas City, which Kansas City had an offensive get-right game against the Ravens. Because entering that game, they had already given up 96 total points, which is the most through that many games in a season, with an offensive score 110-plus points. And now the offense is facing all sorts of challenges with Lamar Jackson's injury. There's talk that he's going to miss this week. So that defense has a lot of issues right now, Dan. And it's weird because they have the talent. Yes, they've had injuries, but they've had, historically, over the last few years, Baltimore's had to navigate through plenty of injuries, and they haven't had the same kind of challenges that they've had this year.
That stat of the day presented by Amazon Prime Video. Thursday Night Football is on. The San Francisco 49ers take on the Los Angeles Rams. Coverage begins Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on Prime Video.
You say that, Mike, but last year their defense was the healthiest in the league, missed the fewest games, and this year they're lacking the health more than any other team in the league. But, Nick, what are your thoughts here? You saw the get-right game that your beloved Mahomes had against one of the worst defenses ever seen and the worst one statistically in the sport this season.
Yeah, listen, I get it. Josh Allen, scores 40 on the Ravens. He's playing the position at a higher level than ever. The Lions score 40 on the Ravens, and they officially don't miss Ben Johnson anymore. They're back. The Chiefs score 40 on the Ravens. It's like, the Ravens must be bad. But that's not the story. Listen, I want to have an actual adult conversation about how Lamar Jackson is discussed and why I think he's discussed as such. Okay? So, Dan, see if I can sell you on this. Because there is a bit of the enemy of my enemy is my friend here, which is when Lamar was coming out of school, while Bill Polian got the face of it because he said he should be a wide receiver or whatever, the loudest and most ardent Lamar Jackson skeptics, most of them were bad actors. I'm not calling Bill Polian that. They were folks that people in my position in the media, young, usually pretty liberal, myself, pretty, I think, evolved on a lot of social issues, really didn't like those folks. They didn't want, and they were like, and they found their opinions to be abhorrent and not really just about football. And I believe to my core that because of that, and because the biggest Lamar critics early on were just bad folks, there has been an overcorrection where 8 years later, nobody seems to want to acknowledge what is so patently obvious year after year after year, which is he is an all-time legendary first ballot Hall of Fame MVP who plays his absolute worst football in the absolute biggest games. There is a name for that in sports. It's called getting tight if we want to be nice, choking if we want to be mean. We have no problem saying it about Aaron Judge. We have no problem saying it about James Harden. We had no problem saying it about Peyton Manning. But because Lamar, for some reason or another, we are still fighting this old battle of can he be a quarterback? Folks don't want to cede any ground. And then I have to listen to even an overcorrection, which is actually, if you remove running, he's the best, one of the best players ever. Look at his passer rating, as if that isn't influenced by the defense being afraid of him being able to run because he's so dynamic. We have to pretend as if it's not a fact that in the last 30 games, he's had 3 multi-turnover games. The AFC title game against the Chiefs, the divisional round against the Chiefs, and against the Bills, and Sunday against the Chiefs. Then in the last 30 games, he's thrown 7 total picks, which is remarkable. 4 of which were regular season picks that hit his receiver in the hands, and the other 3 were just awful, awful decisions that were in the AFC title game, the divisional round game, and Sunday against the Chiefs. Those games, all of which he also had an inexplicable fumble. It's patronizing to him to pretend like this must be a coincidence when it obviously is not.
Nick laid it out tremendously well. I guess what muddies the water a little bit is all the individual achievements and accolades that Lamar Jackson has stacked. Won a Heisman Trophy, multiple MVPs in the NFL. At no level, including high school, has Lamar Jackson ever quarterbacked a championship team. Dating back to Boynton Beach, he has never been a part of a championship team. Not an ACC
same with Harden and Peyton Manning.
Not an ACC champion.
I don't know if Tennessee ever won the SEC, and I don't know if Arizona State ever won the Pac-10 or Pac-12 conference tournament, but I know that I don't get why it's fair for other guys. Like James Harden has more first-team All-NBAs than Steph Curry. James Harden has the statistical profile of a top 15 all-time player, and he is barred from that conversation correctly because year after year after year, he comes up short in the biggest spot. Peyton, when they won the Super Bowl in Indy, he didn't get over his big game stuff. He had 3 touchdowns, 7 picks on that playoff run. Bill Simmons did a whole Peyton Manning face thing. And then I listen to the commentary after the Chiefs game Sunday, and there's 8 seconds on the fact that they're up 7-3, the Chiefs aren't humming yet, they have the ball at midfield, and for the first time in the regular season in 2 years, Lamar just throws a what the hell was that off his back foot first down interception, and everyone's like, no, the defense was just too injured. The whole world picked the Ravens going into that game with the defense being injured. That game did not flip because Marlon Humphrey went out. Marlon Humphrey went out when they were already down 17. That game didn't flip because Roquan Smith got hurt. That game flipped because Lamar had 2 first-half turnovers.
While the Chiefs were frustrated on offense, the Chiefs were in a vulnerable position. The place that I would push back on you, I believe your critique is fair and accurate before the season and based on those playoff games. You're making this a big game when you can if you want, but this doesn't count. Like, it's 2 1-2 teams. This is not an AFC championship game. He had a bad game. You can make it a big game if you want, but it was a game between 2 1-2 teams. He had a bad game
against Dan, is it a game against a team that he called, quote, his kryptonite? Yes. Was it a game against a player in Patrick Mahomes that he said a few years ago, no, I don't like playing him? Is it a game against a team that he has now played 7 times, lost 6 to, and is it a game? Is he staring across the field?
But Nick, you know that the Chiefs defend him differently than every team in the league. You know that they have a spotter and they have a way. They've got a solve on Lamar Jackson that no other team has. Their defense can stifle him. But you're just making an arbitrary game 4 of the season count as much as one of the playoff games because he had a bad game.
No. Hold on. I'm not doing that. What I am saying is that when there's a big 3 quarterbacking in the NFL at this point. Patrick, Lamar, and Josh. Burrow's out because he's out. And when Lamar has consistently played, not every single game, but consistently played his worst ball against one of those other 2 guys, particularly against Patrick, we can't act like that's coincidental.
Nick, it's not coincidental that the Chiefs have a solve for him. They put a spotter on him, and they can slow him.
Here's my answer to that. I don't buy that. I do not buy that. Are the Chiefs games not on film? Nobody else can watch what the Chiefs do? Everybody has tried for a decade to solve Lamar Jackson. And the way to solve Lamar Jackson is have Lamar feel like this is a huge spot. That's how and so we're not going to pretend like when Brady and one of the most famous Brady Manning games ever was a regular season game.
But Nick,
when Belichick went for the 4th down.
You have him losing to Josh Allen in game 1. That wasn't his fault.
No. I'm not putting that on him
But you're
at
saying
all.
the games you're saying the games against Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. The last one he had against Josh Allen, he had him beat.
Let me also provide some more stats because it's not just the Chiefs. He has 5 losses in the playoffs. Here are the Ravens' point totals in these games. In Lamar's playoff debut, they scored 17 points. They lost to the Chargers. 12 points against the Titans. 3 points against the Bills, 17 points against the Cincinnati Bengals, 10 points against the Kansas City Chiefs. When the opponent scores more than 20 points in the playoffs, Lamar Jackson does not win those games historically.
Hold on. So I think we might be leaving the Bengals one. I think was Huntley playing, just to be fair, but I think we're also leaving one out. What is true is this: in 4 of his 5 years in the postseason, the single fewest points the Ravens scored all year was in their playoff game. They've played the Chiefs in the playoffs once. It's not that the Chiefs have a solve for him. I want to be very clear. I was not putting game 1 on Lamar, and I think game 1 of the season was a game he played really well in, and that was a game where the defense and Derrick Henry's fumble let him down. So to be clear, the bigger question I have is, why on earth am I and seemingly Shannon Sharp on an island on this? Why is it is such a patronizing protectionism? And I've got to deal with people I really like and respect. We joke, but I adore Mina Kimes as a human being and have massive respect for her football knowledge. Massive respect. I went on her pod this offseason and I referenced the Ravens playoff game, and she just said, matter-of-factly, Lamar was not bad in that game. He had 4 turnovers all year, 2 in the first half of the playoff game they lost. In what now? Did he rally at the end? Did he give them a chance to come back? Sure. But he dug that hole. if we were all just nice and kind and gentle in sports media about everyone, so be it. But that's not how it is. And so it feels to me like there is, and people also do this thing. They're like, well, all these Bills and Ravens are these all-time team stats, and Josh and Lamar are these all-time player stats, but haven't made a Super Bowl. That's actually a Patrick Mahomes compliment. But that's true for the Bills. The Bills 4 times got blocked in the playoffs by Mahomes. The Ravens, it's once. And to kind of add to the other point, Dan, a week 4 regular season game against the defining player of the league when both of your teams are teetering on must-win adjacent territory and you have your worst regular season game in 2 years, I'm not going to call that a coincidence.
Is your number one theory on this that people are afraid to criticize him because to criticize him might get you called racist? Like, what is your number one theory?
No, it's not. No. I do not think, I want to make it very clear. I think it's that all of the racists in sports media, or really, they're not even really in sports media, that dabble in sports were anti-Lamar. All of them were. And let me again be very clear on what I'm saying. Everyone who was anti-Lamar in the beginning was not racist, but all the racists were anti-Lamar. And because of that, the anti-racists, of which I consider myself one, and I think a lot of my young media colleagues consider themselves one, overcorrected. And now feel like I don't want to give an inch. It's that meme when the worst person in the world makes a good point. And you're like, no, I don't want at all for those folks to have any type of win, which I actually empathize with. And I might actually, if I wasn't felt so steady on my ground of like, okay, if folks want to call me an anti-black racist, like you can go ahead and try, but I just think, I don't think that's going to play. So maybe I'm not, maybe I'm less anxious about it, that I can just call it for what I see it, which is he's James Harden of the NFL. And that guy's going to be first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the most unique players ever. But why do we have to pretend it's bad luck? That's all I'm saying. Why do we have to pretend that it's surprising that happened? It wasn't.
He's the host of FS1's First Things First. I suggest that you listen to What's Right with Nick Wright. He does that with his son. You can watch him on First Things First, weekdays at 3 p.m. on FS1. Did you think he quit? Because I don't think a lot of quarterbacks in that situation, people would leap to the conclusion that he quit at the end of the third quarter when he left the game. But a lot of people did jump to the conclusion thinking that Lamar Jackson quit at the end of that game.
What I thought it was weird that he wasn't seemingly getting treatment, and then he had seemingly tied around his hamstring just a couple Gatorade towels. I thought that was weird. I also think that right after the game, Harbaugh was like, I don't know if he could have gone back in. Then the next day, he was like, he definitively couldn't have gone back in. And then yesterday, the Baltimore Sun, none of like the, national reporters, the Baltimore Sun's like, oh, he's out for Houston and it could be 2 to 3 weeks. I do not deny at all, or I do not doubt, I should say, that Lamar hurt his hamstring in that game. If you're asking my honest opinion of if it were tied, do I think he would have kept playing? Yeah, probably. Do I think, though, that would have been, like, that's totally reasonable? If it's like, I could play through this, but it might make it worse, but we're down 17, and also we're playing the Chiefs, so we lost as soon as we got off the bus. I probably should get healthy. I think that would be totally legitimate.
Billy just said to me, classic Tony. Classic just quitting at the end when you realize you're going to
Nick, I don't know if you know this. Yesterday, Tony decided for some reason to kick field goals on the show while giving a list no one cared about. He lost the ball beforehand because he claimed that he kicked it so well that he kicked it over the fence. No one saw it happen. Then the kicks that we did saw were 3 horrific kicks And on the fourth one, he just decided not to participate anymore and pulled up, and he said that he pulled his hip and he couldn't kick anymore.
Can I know we don't have a ton of time here, but can I tell a story where I was covered in shame? I've told it publicly once
maybe
before.
Next time.
No, I can't.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Billy.
No, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
Okay, I don't know. Billy's in charge.
Would you fly on a plane with a captain that has a lisp? Just real quick before your story.
Yeah, of course. That seems like the most offensive thing said on this show in 6 months.
Would you prefer?
Get a letter.
Would you prefer your pilot to be blind or deaf?
I don't. You know what? I'm not comfortable answering any of these questions. What I will tell you is this: anybody that, and then I'll tell the story about where I'm covered in shame. Anybody who I think has something. It's the Nick Wright on TV corollary. And don't you guys pull up the picture. I'm going to tell a funnier story. It's how I look actually gives me more take credibility. Because like, man, that guy must sons of bitches. That guy must really be sharp, because why else would he be on TV? So whenever I see someone that has, a different ability or something that I think could have worked against them in the hiring process, I'm like, man, they must be really good because they had to overcome it. Now to my story before I go. So people who are mad at me can at least take pleasure in this. State final, 4x800 relay, high school. I am the third leg of the team, and I think I'm running a great time, but then I see when I got the baton, we were in medal stand position, and 3 people passed me on the second lap. With 200 meters to go, I started running, holding my back hamstring, which was not injured, because I needed an excuse as to why I was letting the team down.
It's a good move. It really is. Do you have anything for Pablo on your way out? Your nemesis, Pablo. Again, he's the host of FS1's First Things First. What's Right with Nick Wright is a podcast I recommend to you. He does it with his son, and it is charming and smart and lovable. It is.
Oh, charming and lovable. I appreciate that. That's how I hope all my media endeavors are described. Yes, all I have for Pablo is at this point, I'm rooting for him to be right, because I just want to see what at one point I was rooting for Cuban, but now I've kind of gone in the other direction, and the only thing I'm rooting for more than Pablo to be right is for Pablo's next big story to be something I actually care about.
See you later, Nick. Always good seeing you. He does not care about the Kawhi Leonard story. I, too, am rooting for Pablo to be right, because I don't want the world's 7th richest man to sue me. So I kind of need Pablo to be factually correct on that, because I don't want an ugly public fight on embarrassing Steve Ballmer in a way that is inaccurate. Greg Cote,
yes.
I didn't want to go too much further in the show today without talking about the baseball yesterday, because I thought it was really fun, and I don't think baseball can get a lot better than the bottom of the 9th inning at Yankee Stadium. But you are someone who can be anti-baseball. Jeremy was so excited about an invitation to Yankees Red Sox that instead of doing a live stream yesterday that he had promised us, he immediately flew out, and everyone shamed him here for doing this, and I just love the adventure in him. I love that he's that hungry about loving sports that the opportunity to watch a game at Yankee game at Yankee Stadium and see that bottom of the 9th inning is something that he bombed out of here and flew, hopefully a pilot that didn't have a lisp, flew straight to Yankee Stadium to watch that game. What did you think of the fun yesterday in baseball? Because all of the games were great, and I'm saying Dodgers-Reds were also great because I saw Shohei Ohtani take a 101-mile-an-hour pitch from Hunter Green, hit it 117 miles an hour out of the ballpark, and have it be his second most impressive home run of the night.
Yeah, I'm glad they said 117 because I was guessing it went 120 miles an hour. So I really needed to know the specifics on that. I'm not a huge baseball fan. I am a Yankees Red Sox fan. Whenever they play, I'm tuned in. The Red Sox were my first love in baseball, probably in sports, back in the mid-'60s. And so I tuned into that game. I love the ending, obviously, because I'm a Red Sox fan, which means I hate the Yankees. But it's emblematic of what's wrong with baseball, okay? The pitcher for the Yankees, Max, pronounced Fried, is pitching a gem. He is shutting out the Red Sox, and the manager, pronounced Aaron Buffoon, takes him out after 6 1/3 inning, and the bullpen blows up, and the Red Sox win because of Aaron Boone's misplay. And that's baseball now. Okay, when I grew up, Gaylord Perry had like 35 complete games in a season. The complete game has died.
Hell yeah.
The leader in complete games now has like 3 because it's late in the season and they don't care. So they say, let's let McGillicuddy pitch the whole game. Bring back the complete game. Too much reliance on the bullpen, and that was I'm thrilled it happened yesterday because I wanted the Red Sox to win. What a great finish. But Aaron Boone blew that game because he was following what baseball has become.
Greg, it's not beneath you to change like his last name from Boone to Buffoon.
Is that beneath me?
Yeah, I would have thought that's beneath you.
It was too easy, but it was not beneath me.
He just said how it's pronounced. Same thing as like Max Fried is pronounced Fried, even though it's spelled fried. So he has to tell us exactly how it's pronounced, not how it looks.
He was a buffoon in that instance.
Yeah, people have been saying that about him since he intentionally walked Miguel Cabrera a couple years ago when he was trying to get his 3,000th hit.
There you go. See,
people have really been going after Aaron Boone, saying he should lose his job for a while now. He's probably going to lose his job, honestly. The thing about that was weird, too, is that he brought him in to start that inning, and it was a 3-pitch at bat, and then he took him out. Like, why didn't you just, if you weren't going to have him pitch the inning, why didn't you just start with a clean slate?
Boone's statement afterwards was just basically the bullpen, like, we were set up. Right after that first batter, we were set up the rest of the way with our bullpen.
I mean, it's what every team does nowadays. Like, it's not like Aaron Boone did anything different than what most every other manager does.
But it's ridiculous that you adhere so strictly to the pitch count. He was on 99 pitches, which is why they let him start
He threw 102 pitches, and the thing that needs noting here, while I understand your criticism, and you're not alone because Fried and Jazz Chisholm seemed upset about it, the reason that they do that is because statistically, empirically, okay, this is what I'm about to say, it's mathematically factual. The third time through a lineup is when these pitchers get hit. The first 2 times through the lineup is when. That's why the whole sport has changed in this regard. But I, too, would have stayed with my ace in that spot, especially since my ace is better than my bullpen.
They figured Luke Weaver out in the first time through that lineup, though, real quickly, to the tune of not getting an out.
All that being said, though, they still had an opportunity to win that game. They had bases loaded, no outs against Aroldis Chapman. Now, a lot of lefties in that bottom half of the ninth for New York. Granted, one of them is Bellinger. He does historically well against lefties, but the Yankees are the first team in Major League postseason history to have the bases loaded and nobody out in the bottom of the ninth, but not score a run and go on to lose the game.
Aroldis Chapman still throwing that heat.
Dude, there was a sequence where he went from 101 to 87. How does anybody work with this?
No, I want to talk about that bottom of the ninth inning, okay? And I want to talk about it for 10 minutes because of how special it actually was. First of all, give me the music again so that Mike can give the stat from our most historic sport.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is here, start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is here, start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is here, start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is here, start of the day.
Courtesy of OptaStats, the New York Yankees are the first team in Major League Baseball postseason history to have the bases loaded with nobody out in the bottom of the ninth, but not score a run and go on to lose the game. I guess the context there is maybe it's happened once before and teams ended up winning in extras and coming back, but to have a win or loss situation against the Boston Red Sox like the New York Yankees had last night with the best possible scenario, bases loaded, no outs, no team has done what we saw the Yankees do last night.
I also had like a small stat of the day here. I saw as well, now granted this new format only began in 2022, but no team in this wild card round has lost game 1 and then won the next 2 games.
Yeah, in fact, getting to game 3 has only happened 4 times. I thought the baseball was awesome. I checked in on it, and I was locked in. These games flew. They were high drama. I loved what Major League Baseball had to offer yesterday. I'm back in today.
Anyone else want a little more from Aaron Judge in that 9th inning? Base hit up the middle. Need more.
Let's talk about this for a second because that really was a magical half inning. And let me go through all of this because Crochet retired 17 straight batters, and you can do all the managerial stuff you want, and I understand it today. You're not alone, okay? Nick Turturro is furious. Nick Turturro, as is his wont, he is enraged with all things Yankees.
Nick Turturro, NYPD Blue?
Let's listen to Nick Turturro, who's been on the show with us. He's a lunatic. He's the brother of John Turturro.
How do you not score? How could you not score? 3 singles in a row! It's unbelievable, the same shit! Every year! And then you take out a guy, pitching a shutout!
Did you agree with the decision to not pinch run Goldschmidt? I know he didn't represent the tying run, but with bases loaded, no outs, like there seemed like a play could have been made where you could have advanced the runners.
Okay, so this is exasperating to me because I understand how we're going to make this about something other than Aroldis Chapman. Like, I understand how we're going to do this manager, this decision, here's why it's wrong.
Boone sucks, though.
I get it. You're not
government shutdown too.
You're not alone with that. And Fried, that's how you pronounce it, right, Greg? Fried.
Fried.
Says of Buffoon, and I was wrong on Fried. I said the Yankees erred by immediately pivoting off of Soto, and I thought they overpaid Fried. They needed Fried to be an ace yesterday. He was an ace, but let's listen to Fried because he sure as hell didn't want to come out of the game. Let's listen to him before we go to Jazz Chisholm with his back to reporters because of how pissed off Jazz Chisholm was.
I mean, I definitely felt good at the end. Yeah, you know, coming out feeling good. Would you have liked to have stayed in longer? I mean, I'm gonna stay in until I get the ball taken from me. You know, I wanna pitch as long as I possibly can, and you know, when the ball gets taken out of my hands, is, you know, that's what it is.
Max, did you feel like you had more left?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely felt good. Felt like you know, whatever the team needed.
How great would it have been if when she asks him, did you want to stay in longer, just goes, no.
Got to look out for your coach there. That'd be a nice guy. Nice move.
What was Boone thinking? That's what he should have said.
Boone's not going to be that much longer. Can I say something that people are not going to
Think
agree
they could fire
with?
him mid-series?
Ooh, wow. I like that. You know what I don't like? Watching that clip back? Let's bring back the facial hair rule for the Yankees. How about you clean up that stubble, Max Fried? You look like a disaster.
Was an old-timey baseball player-looking guy with a mustache and no batting gloves that came up in that bottom of the ninth. I do have general baseball questions, though, because surprised that Aroldis Chapman is still that unhittable.
Right.
Surprised that he can hit 101 like 7 times in that half inning. He was unbelievable, and he pulls it on a string and goes to the mid-80s. That's crazy. And the Goldschmidt thing seemed weird to me, and there was one sequence where a base runner that's more fleet of foot could have possibly tagged up from third.
I'm going to ask you guys again, because I want to get to the greatness. I know we got a million questions. We love to do this whenever somebody loses, okay? But I want to talk about Chapman, and I want to talk about the Cuban pitcher specifically, because what happened in that ninth inning was Chapman happened to the Yankees in that ninth inning. After 3 straight pitches, they get singles. It's Goldschmidt, it's Judge, and it is Bellinger. 3 straight pitches, singles, they load the bases, okay? Against, as Eduardo Perez is saying, that's the best pitcher in baseball. And a manager called me and told me that's the best pitcher in baseball, Aroldis Chapman. Billy, can you look up for me? How many teams has Chapman played for?
He played for the Reds, then the Yankees, then the Cubs, then the Yankees again, then the Royals, then the Rangers, then the Pirates, now the Red Sox.
How old is he?
Allegedly 37.
Okay, that's good. That's a good allegedly, because I do want to talk about the Cuban pitcher, and specifically, I want to ask the rest of you, because they tend to come through Miami, and it's always pitchers, right? Contreras has helped win a title. Livan Hernandez has helped win a title. El Duque has helped win a title. It's never a position player. It's always a pitcher. So Aroldis Chapman is in that game, and he's throwing 101. When Mike says he goes 101 to 87, it's when and how he went 101 to 87. He's facing Grisham with the bases loaded. He's down 2-1 in the count. Grisham's got no chance when he goes lefty on lefty and he throws an 87-mile-an-hour slider right over the plate, down 2-1 in the count. What came up next is the meat of the Yankee order. Okay? Because I know you put your top 3 guys up at the top of the lineup now. Statistically, that's how they all do it in baseball. But it's going to be Stanton. It's going to be Chisholm. They're going 4, 5, 6. He gets 2 strikeouts, and he gets a flyout. Let's go to the sound and the video of Jazz Chisholm with his back to reporters because he's doing the same thing you guys are doing. He doesn't want questions about when the starter was taken out, when Goldschmidt should be lifted for a pinch runner. I thought you guys would be interested in this inning just because it's all players you've heard of. It's Stanton, it's Chisholm, it's Goldschmidt, it's Judge. It's all the players that you guys actually know.
And the one that I didn't had the glorious mustache with no batting gloves.
And here's Jazz Chisholm with his just back the whole time to reporters.
Were you surprised about the decision?
I mean, I guess. Yeah.
Jazz, is that a conversation at all with him, or is it he shoots you a text, it is what it is, and you kind of move forward?
It's a little conversation, not much, but yeah. Just move forward after it.
He has a shirt on. Why is he looking for a shirt?
I'm curious, did they start asking him questions with his back turned, or was he facing them, they started, and then he turned around? Because if your back is turned the whole time, it's just kind of like, all right, you don't want to talk.
He wasn't ready for questions yet.
Well, my first question would have been, Jazz, do you mind turning around and so that we can hear you?
You would have said
better?
that?
Yeah.
Like, Jazz, are you looking
So
for
that we
another
can hear
shirt?
you better.
Because you're wearing a shirt currently.
That would have been a great. That would have been a great question that you're asking there. And so we do this in baseball all the time. I told you the story. Renee Latchman got really mad at me, okay, because 61 games into their inaugural season, I'm in print questioning a bunch of managerial decisions. The Yankees lost because the 6 guys at the top of their lineup, 3 of them singled. Judge had 2 hits yesterday, and that's not going to be enough because people are seeing what Ohtani's doing. Judge now has this reputation of they need home runs from the Yankees. The Yankees keep getting their season stifled because they hit home runs during the season, and then they get to the postseason and they don't hit home runs. Their first 3 hitters, single, single, single on 3 straight pitches. And then he mows through the other 3 guys. And the thing that I wanted to talk to you about as it relates to the Cuban pitcher, I remember years ago, Rene Arocha gets here. They get here in the strangest fashion. Some of them have to defect in ways like in El Duque's case. He's living on an island, a boat. He's eating snails and getting very sick because he's trying to get to America. Aroldis Chapman's story is nuts. It doesn't make any sense that human being at 37 years old would still be throwing 101 miles an hour when he introduced us to 100 miles an hour. The idea that from the left side that he would slingshot through those lefties in the middle of their order, go through Chisholm, after allowing Bellinger to have the hit, after allowing Judge to have the hit, the idea that Eduardo Perez would be describing that, would be saying on the telecast that a manager told me that's the best pitcher in baseball this season. When Billy just gave you the number of teams,
he was allegedly 37.
He was on the Texas Rangers. They weren't using him when they won the championship.
Right, but I know baseball has evolved some in the years that I've kind of disconnected from it. I was watching baseball when Aroldis Chapman was throwing heat. I understand that. I also understand righty-lefty matchups and why Bellinger is an outlier for lefties. Why so many lefties in the lineup, Jeremy? I'm going to tag you in. And why not pinch run for Goldschmidt? Those were the questions that I had. Is this some new evolution of the sport that I'm missing here?
The Goldschmidt pinch running, that run doesn't matter, right? You got a runner standing on second that represents the tying run.
I would argue with 0 outs, so there was a situation where you could have advanced the runners with a better runner.
Yeah, but he's sitting there. That run doesn't matter.
You end up needing a Walker hit to tie it up.
I understand he doesn't represent the tying run, but again, you could have advanced the runners.
But ultimately, you're also looking at more options for pinch hitters. And Grisham coming up lefty on lefty. Ben Rice was their best option off the bench. He was sat specifically because they had a lefty and Garrett Crochet going to begin with. The only guy who could have been hitting as a right-handed hitter would have been switch hitting Jason Dominguez. Their entire bench was full of lefties. It's just an unfortunate circumstance for them where their plan was to deploy guys like Jazz and Ben Rice against right-handed relievers by hoping that you could get to some of those guys in high-leverage innings in the 7th or 8th because they would take out Crochet by the 6th or 7th, similar to how Fried was taken out by the Yankees.
The thing about Chapman, Dan, that we didn't mention before when we were saying the names is since 2022, it's a different team every single season. So 2023 he was on 2 teams. 2024 he was on a new team. 2025 he's on a new team.
I was legitimately awed by what it is that he did yesterday, and I understand we do this all the time.
He's also
in
fallen
baseball.
off, by the way, in terms of he has the record for fastest pitch ever at 105.8 miles an hour. So at 101, they're like, This guy, a shell of himself.
He's also had off the field stuff, which could explain why he's been around.
Well, I was about to say, why has the quote best pitcher in baseball been traded so many times? Had a journeyman career and been with what, 8, 9 teams? Why?
There have been a lot of off-field issues like that. There's some ugliness there.
But that rarely deters teams from signing someone that's talented enough, if we're going to be completely honest.
That's the truth. I still am stunned, though, to see someone who's allegedly 37 years old still throwing 101 miles an hour.
I can tell you for a fact he is 137 years old. And if you didn't know, the reason I'm dressed as Allen Iverson is because I'm doing my punishment, the AI, where I will be giving you only factually correct information from AI for the rest of this show,
Where'd you sleep
including
yesterday?
the fact that the bucket is named after Charlie Bucket from Omar Dahl's book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Billy, what did you ask Jeremy?
Where he slept.
The
Zaz is
Doubletree
telling
Hilton.
me. Yeah, right.
He is one of the best play-by-play announcers anywhere in sports. You can hear him on Fox calling college football, basketball, and NFL games. He's also the television voice of the Detroit Tigers, who are up 1-0 because Scooble is an animal. But Jason Benetti, among the sports that you do, baseball is your favorite to do. Which is the hard? I would imagine I'm answering for you, but which is the hardest to do?
So I would say the hardest to do is the sport that I did like 5 times and I've never done since, and it's hockey. The hockey announcers do the games from like the 9th floor. They have no spotter. People are jumping on the ice in the middle of play as though there's no security. And like the lines change 2 minutes before the game. I have no idea how they do it.
Did you notice, and I don't know if you were working at the time, did you notice that Jim Nantz didn't know the names of some of the Baltimore Ravens players on Sunday?
I did not see that. Did that happen? That was a thing?
I mean, it's not his fault. It's because the Ravens were playing defenders that no one knew.
That's an exciting time for a spotter. You know, all of us football announcers have somebody that gets paid to stand next to us, hold a pointer, and point directly at the board as to who's on the field. So there's always somebody standing there going, this is the running back, right? Just in case, because there's a lot of stuff going on, and we're all really bad at life. So the spotter, I can't even imagine the panic for the spotter at that point. Like just pointing at walls in the booth, like pointing at the Cheetos bag that's half empty. I don't know. I don't know who it is.
What do we do if the spotter points to the wrong person? Is it just a glare?
We fling the spotter out the window, I think is really what happens generally. No, you kind of try to pump them back up and be like, we got the next one. Like, let's go. Here we go. It's actually a really awful job. My spotter texts me routinely during the Super Bowl and says, please don't ever do the Super Bowl, because he's nervous watching the Super Bowl that pointing at something wrong would be the end of his life.
You are a kind and decent man. What would you do if you were in my position and a producer ran in a hurry with a piece of paper for you to read and it was totally blank? It didn't have anything on it. He gave you no instruction. It was just a piece of paper that had printed poorly.
So funny enough, I had a stage manager at a basketball game, the person who hands you the cards, hand me a card that had my name on it and my partner's name on it. So I just turned to the camera. When we came on camera, I said, this is us. Thanks for joining us. So, you know, I think you just take it and you go, I've been handed this note.
We've had multiple problems with Benetti and his Wi-Fi.
I thought he was doing a bit. That was a bit. That's what I knew.
It was a bit.
I was so sure.
It's a great joke.
I'm sorry. Let it sit.
Hold for applause.
Jason, you available to go to Saudi Arabia for a set?
That is not a question I thought that I was going to receive, but sure.
Okay. You know what? You guys take it from here. I'm gonna get it. You know.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, asshole.
Wow.
Jason, is the sample just too small on these expanded wildcards? Because there seems to be something to these games not even making it to a third game since the expansion of the wild card round.
Yeah, it's 4 of them since they've done it. I think part of it is baseball really is a momentum sport, and then you have to go back and you do it tomorrow again. And especially like if you lose game 1 and you had to burn more of your bullpen in losing game 1 than you ever would want to have burned, I think sometimes that will pop up in game 2. I also just generally think like you end up with teams that are bad matchups for another team for whatever reason, right? So I think that's part of the forlorn Dan is very hilarious, by the way. Like, no eye contact Dan is a pretty honestly, if hockey players had to look forlorn after they were thrown in the penalty box, that would be an amazing benefit to the hockey viewing audience. Like, not only do you not get to go on the ice for 2 minutes, but you have to look really sad while you do it.
Yeah, if we don't believe you, you have to stay in that box.
Yes,
Convince me you're upset.
Right. Has anything changed in your behavior is what they should ask people as they come back from a hooking penalty.
Jason, we all saw the Tigers, collapse when it comes to division late in the season. They won yesterday. Like, does it matter at all once you get to the playoffs that they didn't win the division?
I think it matters to the fans' psyche more than it does to anything else. Like those were 2 weeks that you just felt everybody in Detroit being like, man, what is going on? I mean, after the Wednesday loss in Cleveland, which was 5 in a row to Cleveland, Andy Dirks, my broadcast partner, and I were talking about just in between breaks, ordering a really big pizza and watching Ath versus the Astros. Like we were reduced to rooting for Ath is what we were. So I went and DoorDashed Taco Bell. I hit the button to order a big bag of Taco Bell for us and watch Ath. And I think this is officially rock bottom because I looked at the app and the dasher was on a bike. Like bike delivery Taco Bell after your team lost again in the playoff race, I think is pretty close to the crater.
What's your go-to Taco Bell order? Cheesy gordita crunch wrap? What are we doing?
It's all the same. It's all a meat and cheese delivery device. Yeah. I like it sliced in 4, so I go with the quesadilla because there's a food court in college that had a Taco Bell, and like I just crushed quesadillas. Like, is this the steak one? Is this the chicken one? I have no idea, but it's really good and makes me feel good.
So, Jason, is it fair to second-guess managers when they take out their ace pitcher who's pitching a shutout and then the bullpen blows up, such as Aaron Boone, to use a random example?
It's a random example. I like that. It's nice to see random wheels of example.
Right.
I think it is fair. I think it is fair, especially considering the way pitchers, especially in a wild card round, like your ace pitcher is your best bullet. For sure. And I'm coming from the Tarek Skubal angle. So like I want AJ Hinch to leave him in as long as possible because he is the number 1 guy on your roster to do damage to the other team. So I do get it. Like they spent a lot of resources on that bullpen, the Yankees did. But if a guy like that who is extra special beyond the level of really, really good, I think it's a choice you make as a manager, but I do think baseball is leaning a little bit more toward leaving your stars out there. But David Cohn said it during the broadcast, and I do think you have to weigh this. If they're going to go anywhere, he's going to have to throw 7 times or so. So I do think that is a factor there, but you got to get there. You have to get there.
Put it on the poll, please. Do you crush quesadillas? Do you crush quesadillas? And also put on the poll, is Taco Bell just a meat and cheese delivery service? Can you tell me the last time that you were at the center of something in baseball that felt as bad to you as Skubal losing, flipping the ball through his legs over the first baseman's head, hitting Fry in the face, and just what seemed like a total epic collapse on something that was a hopeful season for you? Like, when was the last time you felt exactly that in something you cared about in baseball? Because it looked like a total disintegration.
You know who I worked for before the Tigers, right?
That didn't the White Sox didn't have hope, though. Like, it wasn't like that.
No. I did. 2021, the White Sox made the playoffs. And they started really strong. The second half was not great. They ended up going to the playoffs. They lost to the Astros in kind of epic fashion. Carlos Rodon tried to gut out a start, and the Astros won that 4th game it was. And then the next year, everything kind of fell off. The wheels fell off. Tony La Russa got replaced. There was a lot of hope in Eloy Jimenez, Yohan Moncada, some of the young like Andrew Vaughn, some really good young position players, and you kind of watch it evolve into a corkscrew into the ground. That was slower motion. This I believe in substantially. Like the Tigers, I think, really do know what they're doing, but they have young talent that is just kind of volatile. Like they're pretty volatile offensively, especially. Like you go on these runs and there's great numbers, and then suddenly everybody's really pitchable. And I think the last calendar year is a perfect example of what really young teams teams that are growing into whatever they are can do. And it's just they rip at your heartstrings over and over again. But I do think there's a lot of talent on this team. And Tarek Skubal, like you said, he's an absolute beast. Like, he is one of those guys that's just like, I'm going to do this. And you know what? Like, in the middle of all that happened, I think he went between the legs because he felt like, if I don't do it, nobody's going to do it right now. Like, this has to be me. And that was so out of character. But I think it's the beautiful psychology of baseball that your star, in the middle of all this, like, no run support, blah, 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 he's like, you know what? If I don't get this out, we're going to lose. And it's a window into the mindset of the team at that point.
Can you tell me how rare it is or isn't that Skubal would drive himself to the hospital to go see Fry after he's hit him in the face? Like, how rare or not rare is that?
In baseball? Yeah, I think like, I don't think everybody's going to do that. I think everybody's going to send a text message. But Tarek Skubal, in my experience, in a bunch of different ways, is like the most empathetic on the field monster you could possibly imagine. That dude is a legit good human being. He's done a ton for the Detroit community, but also just like small things that I don't even want to share. But like, I've seen him, like, we'll be going over to somebody to say hello or whatever, and he'll ask me a specific question about that person that he knows about that human being without even needing to have any idea who this person is. Like, he's a really thoughtful guy. That makes a lot of sense. And I think the best ones are the ones who have the switch that takes them all the way to the extreme on the field. And the reason they can do that is the emotional understanding of how they got to be great at what they are.
I want to play this sound from earlier of Nick Turturro, and I want to get your honest, okay? I'm going to give you a minute to process this so I don't blindside you. I want to know your honest rooting interest when the Yankees had 3 on, nobody out in the bottom of the 9th, because I enjoy when Yankee fans and New York fans suffer, and so this is exactly what I was rooting to happen.
How do you not score? How could you not score? 3 singles in a row! It's unbelievable, the same shit every year. And then you take out a guy pitching a shutout.
It's the most magical thing that happened at the end of that Yankee game. Were you rooting for it?
So I will start by saying Andy Dirks and I were doing a bit in the booth before a game the other day about the overuse of the phrase "as they say" by New Yorkers. Like, it's a grid system, as they say. Like, why did you use that phrase? Like, there's no need to add that. I love the New York accent in general, so anything that causes it to go to 11 is something I am absolutely rooting for. I also happen to really like Alex Cora as a guy. Like, I've done games with him, and I kind of like the Red Sox this year. So I those two things combined, had that been cognizable for me at the moment, I would have rooted for that absolutely. And I think somewhere down deep, I just wanted to see the carnage because I like the accent when it's on tilt so much. So yes, I think the answer is yes. That was the desired result.
I actually saw Nick Turturro after the game on the street right next to Yankee Stadium yelling into someone else's phone just like that, who had just walked up and put the selfie video in front of him, and he just started yelling like that. And Dan, if you didn't know, Nick Turturro actually named after frontman of the Jonas Brothers, Nick Jonas.
Why would I know that?
Wow, interesting.
It's not possible.
Where did you sleep
AI.
last night? Where did you sleep last night?
The Doubletree Hilton by myself. Leave me alone.
I'm not doing too many of the AI jokes.
How are
It's
the
just
cookies?
costumes.
Benetti, you like to post a picture of a ballpark on socials and ask people the first person they think of. So I want to do this with you, play this game with you. You give us the first person you think of when I say bat flip.
Tim Anderson.
When I over Batista. When I say underrated.
Underrated Taco Bell quesadillas.
It's a great answer.
When I say Fenway Park.
David Ortiz.
Tigers.
Tarek Skubal right now.
Leadoff hitter.
Overrated.
Shortstop.
Derek Jeter.
Overrated.
Leadoff hitter.
Dan Le Batard's comedic awareness after today's segment.
Manager.
Manager. That's so generic. Terry Bevington.
That's so generic. Yeah, that's it. Terry Bevington is the first. That's the first.
My mind is broken.
He is one of the best play-by-play announcers you will find anywhere in sports. Thank you for playing along, Jason. I hope you go deep into the postseason, sir.
Thank you, guys. Talk soon.
We didn't do any impersonations that time. That is my failure, as was recognizing that he was going for a joke there. And
he did sit there for a long time.
It's my
I'm
fault.
glad it was,
was
you.
really
'cause
still.
I thought the same thing.
A few seconds in, I was like, I think he's doing a bit.
No, I knew. I was able to tell.
It's his fault. He sucks, not you.
He's very funny. Thank you, Billy, for the support there.
I have to be positive.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh, you do have to. Wait a minute. I didn't even. Where's your mustache? Where's your Ted Lasso?
Well, that was an extra. That was an extra thing.
If you were serving the punishment the way that you were supposed to today, and you still owe us one.
No, look, I could say this. I went above and beyond, as we discussed. I planted the extra trees also, so I'm four in the green right now. But also, I will say, Jeremy just kind of sauntered in here midway through his show and claims he's paying off a punishment, assuming that this is going to count as a full payoff for a punishment when he missed half of the show. So if this counts for him, yesterday counted for me.
Valid.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say to that outside of the fact that I'm here wearing a costume, doing a punishment, and spewing out facts, such as Jason Benetti, named after Jason Dominguez. I don't know. I'm done with these people.
I just picked.
Wait a minute.
The
Wait a
AI
minute.
thing.
Wait
No
a
one
minute.
understands.
Wait a minute.
Well, that's the bit.
Like,
it's supposed to
no,
happen. I try
but
hard.
Either
and
do
then
it
I
or
get-
don't do it. Like what you just did there. Like just. I mean.
He lives in his
lost.
own world, Jeremy. You know?
Minor penalty, 2 minutes for boring.
I mean.
Lack of sleep.
Make the joke or don't.
Why
make
lack
it.
of sleep?
I've got a shameful admission from baseball, and I can't believe I'm making this, and I can't believe it happened to me because I am legitimately embarrassed by this. Now, I know who Hunter Green is because the ace of the Reds has been throwing 100 miles an hour for 2 seasons now. He is a pitcher who I have been following. I did not learn until yesterday that he was black. I assumed Hunter Green was white because I've only been following him through box scores and I have not watched him pitch in a game for the Reds. I'm only following him through box scores, but I've been following him since the beginning of last season, and yesterday is when I discovered during the Dodger game that he was black.
I love this game.
It is a great game.
I love this game.
We've got to play Shameful Admission more regularly around here because I was I'm embarrassed to say it now. I was embarrassed to feel it yesterday. Because I'm literally learning this, I don't know, 18 months ago, and the last time it happened to me was with Padres shortstop Khalil Green.
Did you watch the whole game between the Reds and the Dodgers?
I did not. I just watched the beginning of it.
Oh, what do you think Shohei was?
Valid.
Great at baseball.
You know he's Japanese.
Hunter Green had an SI cover.
Oh, yeah?
Well, he was a prodigy. He was being compared to LeBron, and Lee Jenkins did the story.
Is SI still a thing? Like, I don't understand.
Well, this was several years
I
ago.
don't get SI and I don't get Deadspin. They're still working, right? But there's no one working for them?
I think they are. Do they still put out a magazine?
They
or are
still have
online only?
employees. They just do things, in the case of Sports Illustrated, like also sell supplements. They're no longer what they used to be.
They license their name a lot. A rarity in Major League Baseball today. It's happened a handful of times, actually fairly recently, but a player for the Guardians is making his Major League Baseball debut in the postseason.
Wow.
I made the mistake here of watching the Guardians yesterday and learning that they had 3 hitters, and I don't think I've seen this in a playoff team before, 3 hitters hitting under 200. They, for the season, have allowed more runs than they've scored. Do you know how rare that is for a baseball team to be in the postseason with a -6 run differential?
Could have been so much worse.
Yeah. Imagine how many of them have lisp.
We were worried about that setup.
You said you saw 3 hitters. We were like, uh-oh, where are we going?
Yeah, batting down the hatch has been one of those
Hopefully
days.
not the Hunter Green path
Thankfully,
here.
societal shift.
Pilots.
Under 200. Whew.
Cote had a lot of thoughts on what Nick Wright had to say, speaking of societal shifts that now protect Lamar Jackson instead of criticize Lamar Jackson. What Cote didn't get any of those shots off while Nick Wright was here, but what were your...
Unknown hatches, this one.
Who's on the Greg Cote show?
Strap it on.
The last one was a watch. We're under warning now.
Forward through this one.
We're under warning.
Don't worry, man.
I am very tired of...
Oh, boy.
It's okay, guys. The government's shut down. Nothing can happen.
It's all right.
I'm very tired about the
mic.
criticism of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, two great quarterbacks. Not pretty good, but great. But all you think of is, well, they never reached a Super Bowl, let alone won a Super Bowl, so how good can they be? That is BS of the highest order. When you say that Lamar Jackson chokes, and that's what he was saying, it's still a small sample. He's 28 years old. He's got plenty of time to win a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson is coming off the best year of his career last year. 41 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions. He's having a better year this year. He's scoring 33 points a game. If his defense is even average and they're 3-1 or 4-0, nobody's talking. Nick Wright's not on recycling his old bromides about how Lamar Jackson is a choker.
Yeah, but you can't do small sample size and then give us 3+ games of what Lamar Jackson's doing this year.
That's what I'm saying. Well, what he's doing this year?
What are you saying?
How about all last year?
What about it?
He had a great season.
Oh, yeah. No,
he should have been the MVP.
No, but we're far past the point, though, with Lamar Jackson where whatever he does in the regular season doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think Josh Allen was a worthy MVP, and let's just say they had an MVP elimination game, and Josh Allen won it. The problem with Lamar Jackson is he doesn't get over the hump to have an opportunity to get over the other hump, where Josh Allen is labeled with guy that can't get over the hump, and there might be some macro Buffalo Bills stuff too attached to Josh Allen, but it does seem like Lamar Jackson does avoid some of the same scrutiny. Like, he's not even held to the same standard that Dak Prescott is. And I think
that's coming to an end, though. Like, I think it's starting to turn.
Perhaps. I mean, look, the optics of being ruled out of a game in which he's not actively getting treatment for a soft tissue injury, the optics of that were pretty weird, and I do think that the tide is turning a little bit because this guy has to do something. Again, at no level of football has he won a championship. But I thought Nick, I found Nick's conversation, especially on the front end, a little illuminating because I felt it. There's two players in the history of this show in which that play that position, in which if I criticize them, now I don't know what real engagement is on social media, but I do get like the tinge of you racist. It's been Cam Newton and Lamar Jackson, wildly popular players. Now, I don't necessarily understand the Cam Newton one, especially when I was criticizing him at a time that it was worth criticizing.
Fall on the ball. It's right in front of you.
But the Lamar Jackson stuff, I think I understand it better now because we were introduced to Lamar Jackson with a racial discussion. Bill Polian, which, I mean, you can't ignore the race there. And I do think that there's been an overcorrection. And also, as Nick has pointed out in invoking Mina, and there are honestly others in the media spaces, I don't think they want to align themselves with people on perhaps the other side. So they'll stay away from that because they can't necessarily see themselves agreeing with other people that are just doing like sports that may not necessarily have, well, they may not just be doing sports is what I'm trying to get at. There may actually be more to it for some of these people that are making those Lamar Jackson arguments, but I've always found it weird that we're so far removed from the Bill Polian thing. I'm just trying to talk about this guy as a multiple-time MVP that it's fair to say we're just doing sports. Sports commentating is about like, hey, why hasn't this guy won a championship?
Yeah, but you know, and you're alluding to it, and Nick talked about it, like when we're talking negatively about such a high-profile player like Lamar Jackson, it is in the back of some people's minds where if they want to criticize him, it's like, oh, are people going to say that I'm being too harsh because he's a black quarterback? I mean, that's 1,000% real.
Well, one of the reasons I lump Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson is that I don't think it's black and white here. I think that those two are victims of us being in the middle of the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes era, just like a handful of really great quarterbacks were trampled by Tom Brady in New England during their dynasty. I think that it's unfair to find shortcomings in Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson because they haven't been in a Super Bowl yet when Patrick Mahomes clearly is dominating his era.
Well, but what do you make of, like Nick brought up the point, yes, Allen keeps losing to Mahomes. Jackson's only lost him once.
And Greg, to your point, yeah, Brady, Manning, unbelievable quarterbacks, probably the greatest era in quarterbacking history. Brady got his, certainly. Manning even got his. Drew Brees even got his. Aaron Rodgers got his. We're talking about Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. They've yet to even get to the game to have an opportunity to get theirs.
Right, and they're both in their prime, though. Like we're consigning them to the something's wrong, shortcomings, choke category prematurely. Peyton Manning took a while to win a
all the other guys
championship.
did it when they were in their prime. All the other guys did it when they were in their prime.
Okay.
Hell, Roethlisberger did it as a very young
Is Lamar
player.
Jackson a Lobo?
He used to be. Yeah, he's an all-time great Lobo, to be honest with you.
See, that's
But
good
he's
journalism.
not, but he's not
That's
this year.
good journalism
All
right there.
But
Okay.
that's why you're biased.
Okay.
on this.
The point is, if Lamar Jackson's available in the first, second round of my fantasy draft, I'm gonna grab him without hesitation.
One of the things that you've heard me be exasperated about for a long time, because we all have our opinions and we think we know football and we know ball and we don't know ball, because
Ball knower.
when Brockemeyer for the Hurricanes gets a bunch of penalties as the center, and then Mike comes out and says, well, he graded very well. One of the things that we do that is lazy and it's ignorant is we made Peyton Manning a choker. He won a championship one year when he had 9 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. It's the worst version of Peyton Manning they've ever had, and that's the year that he won a championship. There are a lot of things that go into winning, but it's not escapable that Zaz is correct when he says Lamar Jackson can't prove anything during the regular season other than we'll make the last game the big game because he had a bad one. Mm-hmm. If he'd had a good one, it wouldn't have mattered. It's a bad one, so we say that's a big game. That's what we're going to do to him until he starts playing in the Super Bowl. Like, it's not even – he can have – I'm sure he's had a good playoff game that no one remembers because it doesn't matter. He's got to get to the Super Bowl because when you're the quarterback and you're the MVP, that's where the line gets put.
He was solid in that Bills game, right? I think he made a mistake there, but that one's kind of remembered for Mark Andrews not making the catch.
Well, but how many points did they score in that game?
That was probably the most that they've had in terms of like they've.
Well, is it
they historically.
17?
I'll look it up right now. But that game.
But the point I'm trying to make
is remembered for Mark Andrews botching it.
Right, but the point I'm trying to make is he couldn't have had that great a game if they're scoring 17 in a playoff game.
But the standard, listen to what Mike just said there, just so that we have an accurate appraisal after you saw what happened to Tyreek Hill's leg. Lamar made a mistake there. Look at all the plays in the game.
Well, the Bills forced 3 turnovers.
And if he's got a turnover, that turnover is going to stick to him because he's not a player who turns the ball over in all the other games that we're saying aren't big games.
I think that was the first time in a playoff loss that his team scored over 20 points. So it wasn't as bad. And again, like it fell on – he did have an interception in that game, but that game is remembered for Mark Andrews not making a catch the way that Dalton Kincaid didn't make a play for Josh Allen in the following game.
Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. A generation later, we continue, and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are now the victims of this. We continue to put too much emphasis on, did he win a Super Bowl or didn't he? Is Aaron Rodgers an all-time great? Because he only won 1 Super Bowl. How about we judge careers by something beside that?
He's an all-time great, but as a 4-time MVP, everyone listening to this would say that Aaron Rodgers is a winner, underachieved.
That was a 2-point game, 27-25. Lamar Jackson had 2 turnovers, an interception, and a fumble loss.
Yeah, it's not good. And the part that I would push back with Allen and Lamar Jackson, both of whom, of course, have not won, when Jackson is losing these games, their offense is not great, and he does not play well. When Josh Allen is losing these games, he ends up being out-dueled by the other quarterback. Like, Allen is still having a monster game, and just, oh, yeah, he wasn't as good as Mahomes.
Yeah, when he loses to Mahomes, it's like you left 13 seconds on the clock. How dare you? You didn't get an opportunity to get the ball back, or Dalton Kincaid doesn't
he's performing.
Like you get the throw off in the game against the Ravens, while Lamar Jackson has 2 pivotal turnovers. Josh Allen has none, and that's the difference.
Right, and I would agree that relative to their greatness, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson have both underachieved to this point. I'm also not ready to write off Lamar Jackson and consign him to the choker failure category because he's 28 years old, and he's literally in his prime.
It is curious, though, because there is a empirical drop in performance from the MVP in the league that will have questions surrounding him until he wins a Super Bowl. It's not even going to be getting to a Super Bowl. He's placed the bar in an impossible place for a guy who was thought to not be a quarterback when he came out of Louisville.
Is it fair to say that I am now satisfied with the level of Lamar Jackson? Hasn't been able to do it discourse because I've been waiting to just have this show. Hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the racial aspects. And I think like now he's in a position that John Elway found himself in.
Right.
At least John Elway got to the game, though. Lamar's got to get to the game.
That's fair.
I want to play some sound here that we made fun of a while ago when Ron Washington appeared at an introductory press conference for the Angels, and I want to have a conversation afterward. Ron Washington has been let go by the Angels. Bruce Bochy, a champion, has been let go by a multi-time champion, has been let go by the Rangers. But here's what Ron Washington had to say, and we made fun of this press conference when he came in all gangbusters, talking a big game, and then, of course, the Angels end up going, as they always do, 70-92.
I've always been a part of winning. I don't know anything else but winning. We're going to be about it. We're not going to talk about it. Our whole focus is going to be to run the West down, and you can take that to the bank and deposit it.
So he didn't last very long with the Angels. And the thing I wanted to ask you, because they're talking about Albert Pujols as the next manager possibly of the Angels. We just got in basketball to doing this, where we give unqualified people who we thought were smart players the top job with Steve Kerr, Derek Fisher. We just started doing that in basketball. Baseball's got a long history of it. Baldelli was managing the Twins, and baseball does it all the time. Football doesn't do it, right? You're not allowed to go straight to the top spot.
Deion was the guy.
Well, but Deion, people laughed at the idea of Deion being an NFL head coach without any training.
They're doing it at
CU's.
Sorry. Yeah.
Wow, no wonder they question you on Lamar.
Yeah.
Racist.
Yeah, really. Lisp.
What, by invoking the fact that these are the schools that are so
Don't get
greatly...
defensive. You're the one who struggled with HBCU.
Okay, but Deshaun Jackson, Michael Vick, Deion Sanders, as you outlined before, they're giving the opportunities to players that haven't had head coaching experience and just getting them right to that top position to hopefully launchpad them to get that top position, because a lot of the guys, they don't want to do the Jason Taylor thing, which is toil away as a position coach. A lot of these guys who have had borderline Hall of Fame careers, they want to go right to the big job.
So what's the difference there, though? Why is it? I don't feel like people question. Like I say, Albert Pujols, manager of the Angels, and everybody's like, okay, fine. We do that all the time in baseball. I was surprised when Derek Fisher and Steve Kerr were immediately offered 5-year, $25 million contracts. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're going to make that person the head coach of your team when he's got no experience in coaching?
I think there's a split difference where basketball kind of finds itself in the middle, where it can be surprising or not. JJ Redick almost put his credentials on display.
JJ Redick just got an extension after 1 year.
Well, they ran a pretty good offense under JJ Redick. And with baseball, I think the reason you see it more often is it's not like playing one individual position necessarily changes what the schematic side of the game is, right? So if you were a random NFL quarterback even, what's to say you know how to coach the defensive side of the ball and run a full system, where if you were a Major League Baseball catcher, you know everything that there is to know about the scheme going into the game, and you have your position coaches who are working with these guys individually. There's not as many things. There's not plays that you're running outside of, hey, lay down a bunt or put on a hit and run, which also don't happen.
Oh, but as complicated as football is, I believe that most of the people analyzing basketball don't have any idea what they're actually watching in terms of how much is going in to the scheming of everything that they're doing. It's not as complicated as football, but I am confused. Baseball, you got it. I happen to feel like, and Boog Shambi has disagreed with me on this, but I believe Boog could manage a Major League Baseball team. I think he has enough knowledge of the metrics and the strategy that I believe that he would be a good manager strategy-wise. But I don't assume that because Derek Fisher and Steve Kerr were good, smart players that they can be a good head coach for a basketball team. But everyone seems to be in agreement that if I made your football coach right now somebody who was the head coach of the team, even though I believe that person could be a delegator, I believe I could make Deion Sanders my game day coach of an NFL team with no experience and let him delegate to the offensive and defensive coordinator and all of his line coaches and everything else the game day stuff so that he could be a face and a voice for a team without having to be anything other than the guy roaming the sideline, sort of making fourth down decisions. But is football that much more complicated than basketball that you guys just say simply, I would not allow an Albert Pujols to go straight to the front of the line, head coach of my team with no training. I would not trust that.
I think it's clearly, with basketball, the player, he's on the floor. He sees everything that went on during his career. There wasn't anything happening that he wasn't aware of. When with football, outside of your position, there's definitely so much happening that you are not aware of. And we've seen some recent examples of former players who were elevated rather quickly, and it didn't work out. I mean, heck, you can go back, it was a while ago, Mike Singletary, disaster with the 49ers. But even more recently, Antonio Pierce with the Raiders, one and done, really bad. And last year, Gerard Mayo with the Patriots, one and done,
Jeff Saturday.
really
Jeff
bad.
Saturday was a joke.
Yeah.
Like people
It's too
consider
hard.
that a joke. And yeah, you don't have the example of it working. So the more high profile examples like you lay out right there. I think Singletary had some experience. He was coaching on staff. So it wasn't quite like that, but you're only scaring more people away from taking that chance in the NFL. And also the scrutiny and the attention that comes with the NFL, a sport in which more than any of the other sport, the people on their couch think they know what they're talking about because it's king sport here.
I could be an OC.
Jack Del Rio, how much coaching did he do, assistant coaching did he do before he got
Did a bit.
I think he
head
did a
job? It is curious to me that people would think that Albert Pujols would be good at that job, even understanding as much about baseball as Albert Pujols did.
I mean, if you're a bilingual player that already has the credentials in a clubhouse that you do by just simply being Albert Pujols, if you're willing and able to be a communicator with the rest of your teammates and you're someone who hit 1,698 home runs in your career, then that's the perfect spot for you as Major League Manager already.
And you can take that to the bank and deposit it.